town of Monte Cristo was founded in 1890 to support the numerous mines in the hills above. This area, now known as Glacier Basin, was the first big mining rush of the North Cascades. Significant quantities of gold, silver, and lead were extracted from the mountains high above and delivered to the mill by way of an aerial tramway. The ore was concentrated in a 5-level mill at Monte Cristo and shipped out by rail to the smelter in Everett. By 1895, well over 1,000 people lived in the town, but the next year a combination of bad weather washing out the rail line and declining ore production began to take their toll. By 1900, most mining had ceased and the last ore was shipped in 1907. With the departure of the miners, the town survived as a tourist resort for a number of years, but the road was washed out in 1980 and the lodge burned down shortly thereafter. Monte Cristo is now a ghost town, accessible only by hiking or bicycling, and requiring a treacherous crossing of the Sauk River on a fallen log. The first building we come to when entering town is the powerhouse from the resort era. Power lines never reached this remote region, and so the resort was powered by a generator driven by a Pelton wheel. Water to turn the wheel was piped in from 76 Creek above. Most of the structures in this part of town were resort cabins built in the 1940s. During the mining era, this area of town was the rail yard, and the massive steel turntable used to turn the steam locomotives remains as a testament to the scale of operations here.
A big bearing in the middle, and they could drive a little short train on here.
Just the locomotive.
And this, Chris, Mr. Railroad Bus.
Yeah? Is not part of a choo-choo. Some part of the turntable mechanism.
Part of a wheel to probably roll on a flat track down there.
The wheels seem to be intact.
Yeah. This looks a lot like those, only this is flanged.
Well, look at this. This is some kind of a drive mechanism here.
Well,
or some kind of a funky pipe fitting.
I think this is just piping. I don't think this is related to that.
Yeah, I think you're...
That's pipe and this is...
Look behind you and up, Scott. Behind you and up.
Athens, PA. But look. Okay, Union Bridge Company, Athens, PA. Look at these giant nuts. There's a hand for perspective, but a 2.5-inch hole. Look at how the ends are beat up, and what you're seeing here, these big gouges, is where somebody actually used a giant chisel to grip it, to pound it tight by pounding on the corners or by driving a chisel in. Maybe they didn't have the right size wrench.
They didn't bring their 4.5-inch socket?
Yeah.
Never leave home without your 4.5-inch socket.
I always bring a 4.5-inch tool with me, but seldom a socket.
Mechanical type.
These cabins were part of the resort.
Right.
The railroad ended there. The town site is on the other side of that footbridge. There's a little footbridge right up there.
Okay.
The original town site's more up there. This was more the resort site. And I'm guessing that they probably just have picked up things they found and dropped them here.
This is about how far they had the ambition to carry them.
Air motor?
Is that what that is?
or air compressor.
The resort area is littered with mechanical debris from the mining era. It appears that as the tramways and mill fell into disrepair, the more interesting artifacts were collected by visitors and left near the cabins. This foundation is what remains of the Boston American mining company Cookhouse. Built in 1917, it later served as the Monte Cristo Lodge until it burned under suspicious circumstances in March of 1983. This fire and the resultant vandalism led to the creation of the Monte Cristo Preservation Association, which continues to maintain the site. After crossing 76th Creek and hiking a short ways up the hill, we come to the main part of the town site. Dumas Street was the main drag of Monte Cristo, and most of the homes and commercial buildings of the town were built along it. This is probably the Peabody Cabin, the oldest structure still standing on Dumas Street. This structure served as the mountain guide's cabin during the resort era, but probably dates from much earlier. China can still be seen on the shelves, and a forlorn steamer trunk, bearing the initials of an unknown owner, waits forever to be packed. Just off the south end of Dumas Street, we come to the site of the United Company's concentrator mill. Built in 1894, it crushed the ore into a fine sand and then used gravity concentrator tables to remove as much of the waste rock from the metal as possible before it was shipped to the smelter. The 5-story structure contained 2 sets of machinery and was powered by a steam engine. This sluice gate was used to wash the waste rock into Glacier Creek, while the concentrated ore was loaded into rail cars. Much of the ore mined in this area was silver and lead bearing, and the tailings contained large quantities of lead, arsenic, and cadmium. In 2012, the Department of Natural Resources conducted an extensive cleanup of this site and several others in the Monte Cristo area to mitigate the amount of toxic heavy metals flowing into the sock.
Yeah. Pressure maybe?
Near the top of the concentrator mill was the terminal for the aerial tramways. The mines were located high above the town in rugged mountainous terrain, and the ore brought to the mill in skips suspended from steel cables and supported by pulleys. The tramways were several miles long, and in one case, miners blasted a notch in the mountain for the line to pass through. At the bottom, the ore would be loaded into a horse-drawn ore carts and hauled a short distance to the top of the mill. Heavy snow is common in this area, and so the tracks from the tramway terminal to the mill were covered by a wooden snow shed. Here we see one of the skips used on the tramway. Quite a number of these skips are in various states of decay and can be seen around town. Thank you for joining us on this trip to the ghost town of Monte Cristo. We're planning a multi-day trip to the mines above the town from next year after the snow lifts. Be sure to subscribe for this and all of our other adventures. We'll see you on the trail.
There's the sluice gate.